We will go to item number 4, petitions and communications. Speakers, we have none. Presentations. Presentation by Seimens regarding water leaks.
Mayor, Council, good morning.
Good morning.
A couple of council meetings ago, you had asked that we provide some information on the Seimens project and how it was progressing and what stages were we at. And I just kind of want to lay a little bit of groundwork before Ms. Sellums comes up with her team, and she can introduce her team whenever she comes to the podium. Back in the fiscal year 13-14, the city council authorized us to hire the services of M.E. Simpson to conduct a leak detection throughout our distribution system over 350 miles of water line. What the study found was that there were 131 leaks. The leaks were in several different categories. Main leaks, 9. Service line leaks were 1. There were valve leaks that were identified as 4. There were 117 fire hydrant leaks. And all those leaks combined together identified that the city was losing almost 1.5 million gallons per day. If the average retail price of $4.85 per 1,000 gallons is used, these leaks were costing or are costing our utility in excess of $7,101 per day, or $2.5 million annually. So we have taken an aggressive stage with engaging the services of Seimens to address these leaks. So what they're going to come do is provide you an update on where they are in the construction program. And I have each one of these areas that were identified by M.E. Simpson on the leaks and what particular area was causing us to have unaccounted for water. And that's a lot of water. So that process is going on now. So I'll ask Ms. Sellums if she'll come to the podium and introduce her team and just kind of provide an update through her presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present a construction project update this morning on the Seimens project. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you all from council, staff. This morning we just have 10 quick slides. We want to give you a construction update and just to kind of, I guess, refresh everyone's memory as to what started this all and where we are right now. There were three key areas that the city felt that working with Seimens they could address infrastructure improvements and upgrades through our process that we had already been partnering with for several years at that point. And those 3 areas, get to the next slide. Those 3 areas were, and I'm going to have to put on my glasses here, excuse me. There we go. Those 3 areas were fire hydrant replacement, large meter replacement, and a fixed-based AMI system for your existing residential water meters. The reason these were chosen is because there was a greatest need for upgrade in those areas. It was a decision based on water loss, but more importantly, it was a decision based on needing to do infrastructure improvements to solidify the infrastructure of the city and prepare it for growth. Let's talk first about the first, we call them FIM, it's a facility improvement measure, so that's just short for FIM. FIM is short for that. So the first thing we did was look at the fire hydrants, and of all your fire hydrants, the city identified 117 of them that truly needed replacing first. And I emphasize that. It is the city's intention to replace all the fire hydrants on a regular basis, but these were just selected as the initial task. The kickoff happened in December of last year, as you all know. The planned start date to start was in April. The actual start date was in May. Some of the challenges we are having with replacing the fire hydrants now is locating shut-off valves and getting water shut off so that businesses are not impacted, or they're impacted as little as possible. So when you do some of those things, additional leaks are being detected and additional problems have come up. So the staff has been challenged with, one, finding all the valves and shutting them off in a timely manner in preparation for the schedule that's coming up in the following week, as well as informing citizens of when it's going to happen. So in dealing with that, we have had some delays on that staff. The next slide is on the large meter replacement. And when the city had done a meter replacement project, I think about 5-6 years ago, probably 6 years ago now, all of the smaller meters were replaced, but the large meters were not. And many of you were on council when we first started this and saw some pictures of your large meter vaults. They were rather shaky. So it was clear that the large meters truly did need to be replaced regardless of what they were billing or not billing. And that was the impetus for doing that project as well. The large meter replacement has been going pretty smoothly. I'm glad to say that. We started the process in October and had the kickoff meeting in January and started the installation in March. As of this date, 105 of those meters have already been replaced, as well as repairs to the vault, and any lines that are going inside that vault have been replaced, repaired. Any gaskets, anything that needed repairing in there, anything that was leaking has also been repaired. The picture you see on the next one is of a new meter on the right and the vault itself from on top. You can see those tiny little gray circle. That's the actual antenna. So it's pretty safe there. It's not going to get in anybody's way. Moving on to the final piece of it, this is the fixed-based AMI. And this is where we are putting in receivers on every single one of your meters so that the information can come directly into your utility billing system here at City Hall. So that saves you a great deal on operational savings, as well as ensures that you give fantastic customer service, because you will know exactly, your citizens will know exactly what they're using and not using by simply looking at a chart. So if they come into City Hall and say, you know, I'm really not sure that I use this much, it'll show that they're using it. And if they've got a constant usage, it tells them very quickly that they have a leak. So that's great customer service, and that was part of the big reason for doing this. So as you can see, those are 2 of the repeaters that are installed already. And some of the challenges on this section were really started in several different areas, and you'll see 3 key areas where we've had challenges in getting this installed. It's in the power for the poles, the billing software, and the indirect sales agreement. So let's start with the power for the poles. We have been working with Entergy and trying to get utilization of power at certain pole locations that in other cities we've been able to use, and for whatever reason we're not able to here, so we'll leave it at that. So after several city manager, don't make me smile. So after several conversations and several months, Seimens decided in order for the project to move forward and get going, we're just going to take on the cost, and we're replacing all the poles, and we're working with all the folks to identify utility lines and everything that's needed to get that done. So we're taking care of that. One way or the other, we'll get it done, right? Next slide, the billing software. I think some of you are aware of this. In the billing software, there's a real simple thing called a meter swap file. This is something that typically takes a couple weeks to do. That's all. And we've done hundreds of projects, and it doesn't take long to do it. But there were some unforeseen issues at the software company that you all have, SunGuard. They were short on personnel, apparently, and some other things were happening. And it took them about 3.5 months to get us that file. So that was a huge delay up front in getting infrastructure put in. And if you don't have the infrastructure in, you can't work on anything out in the field. So that's been resolved. And as you saw, we're going ahead and installing some of the infrastructure as well as updating the meters. And I'm sure many of you have noticed that our crews are out putting in the antennas as well on all the meter boxes. So things are moving, things are moving forward. Indirect sales agreement. This one I think all of you are aware of too. It's just a simple agreement. And what it says is that Itron needs to know that the city agrees to work on this software and take responsibility for this software. And so this was something that was provided to the city along with the contracts back in October, November timeframe of last year. It didn't get ratified until May of this year. And again, until that's ratified, we can't put in any of the infrastructure. So that was another one of those delays. So just letting you know of some of the delays because it impacts our cycle and how much we can get done in the year that we had originally allotted.
Duval, can you go back just one slide, Paul, one slide?
Yeah.
It says you all delivered the agreement to the city in November 2014.
Yeah, last November.
And we didn't get it back to you until May 2015?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that normal?
No, ma'am.
Didn't sound normal. Okay.
You know, and these are just, you know, there's little challenges everywhere. So, and no complaints here. We're moving forward, and we're getting a lot of work done. But I wanted to make sure everybody understood that we're quite a bit behind schedule because of some of these things. You can't put in a single antenna until you have that agreement in place. That's a software agreement, and that's where all the information is coming into that software. So that has to be in place.
Okay. Oh, Councilmember Lewis?
What seems to be, what was the bottleneck on the agreement? What causes this delay? Is it a staffing matter on the city side? Is the city attorney's office? I'm pretty sure that's where the agreements has to flow through in order to get all the dots and protect your city's interests.
I don't know.
Where is the bottleneck?
I don't know that I can answer that thoroughly. I know there was a lot of change in personnel at the city during this time, and I know it went to different people that may or may not have had the right knowledge of what to do with it. I don't know. That I can't be sure of from a standpoint, but it did move around a lot within the city before it got to the city attorney.
You have any memos addressing this? Internal memos to somebody, to the city attorney's office, to the city manager's office?
Well,
Trying to get these things addressed?
By the time it got to the city attorney and the city manager, it was coming to the council pretty quickly.
So a city manager and city attorney was not in the loop?
So
who was in the loop?
Well, originally it would have gone to, Mr. Como and Ms. Eccles and a few other folks. I don't know where the delays were, sir. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be vague.
Well, no, you don't have to get into the nuts and bolts of that. But how is it flowing now?
It's flowing well right now.
Okay.
I mean, we've got the information we need. And that's why I see this as a positive update, but I am letting you know of some of the challenges we've had over the last 6 months because they have been lots of them. It hasn't been just one thing.
Okay.
City attorney?
Just for future reference, when you have a contract that needs to be reviewed, you need to send it to the correct department head and have them prepare a resolution and send it to the legal department. That did not happen. As soon as we got it, we worked on it. In fact, we had to rewrite several portions, I think a couple of portions of it. But when we have a resolution, I think that we need to make sure you get it to the department head who is responsible and have them write a resolution, and then they send it through the process. It may have gone in an email to somebody, but when we got it, we moved very swiftly. Thank you.
And you are right. We did provide it to the entire project team in November as part of the contract documents. So however that gets done, I can't speak to that.
Councilmember Mosley?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to go back a bit. You mentioned something about the poles that you're needing,
Yes,
I guess,
sir.
to make connections with the information collectors. I think I heard you say that you all were going to get this done one way or the other.
Yes, sir.
So are you saying that Siemens is going to absorb this cost?
Yes, sir.
So how many poles do you anticipate this is going to be for the number of collectors you're going to have to make the connections with?
It's a total of 56 poles, and originally we had planned on most of them being utilized with either traffic signal poles or light poles. So we had originally only anticipated about 10 to 12 that we would be putting in. Is that right?
Okay. Do you have an anticipated cost?
I don't have it off the top of my hand, but yes, I can get that for you. But I at this point don't even want to go there we're going to take care of it. It's the right thing to do. We need to move forward.
Okay, well, the reason I'm asking is I'm just wanting to know if you're going to come back to council again in some way requesting some refundables on this or
No, you got it on
make
tape.
I just want to make sure.
No, you got it on tape, sir. I'm not going to charge you for those polls.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Councilmember Scott?
Thank you, Mayor. Val, I can really appreciate the work that you all have done and the challenges that has been put out in front of you all, and the route that you've taken to get things resolved has been really professional. We do have a new city manager now. You got Dr. Johnson and other staff members now are very competent and believe in moving fast on things. So I would just advise you to make sure any bump in the road, please take it to them immediately, because they've been doing a great job in taking care of things in a fast way.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely agree.
Councilmember Lewis?
We have right-of-way leases and things like that, and you're having to go back and every individual household and put in a pole.
Not at every individual house, sir.
Okay. My concern was, why couldn't you work out some kind of agreement with the existing right-of-way owners, like energy or the telephone people?
So it's not so much the right-of-way that's the issue, sir. It's the actual issue of using the existing pole.
That's what I'm talking about. They own the right-of-way. They
do not
You couldn't-
allow us to do that.
They
do not-
wouldn't work an agreement out with you all, or they wanted some kind of a fee or something, or they just wanted to stay clear?
After
Madam Mayor,
several meetings, it was so complicated, and we were told it could take another 6 to 8 months
No.
to work out agreements, and we just felt like that was unreasonable
Okay.
and not practical for actually getting the project done.
City Manager?
Councilman Lewis, you are correct. We do have a franchise agreement with Entergy. There was basically a disagreement between the city staff and Entergy about whether or not we could go on those poles or not. We're trying to work through those details, but we didn't want to hold up the project anymore. So Seimens agreed to go ahead and put additional poles up so we could keep the project moving. And we'll be working with Entergy on those issues in the future.
So we're on the second half of part 3. I think it's the next slide, sir. And this is replacing all of the radios on the small meters, so the residential meters. And you can see an example of the meter box on the top right-hand corner. It is just a clean, clear box with a small gray dot on the top right-hand. I don't know if you can see that clearly enough, but that's the actual antenna. That's all that shows above the lid. So it's a very clean-looking lid, and that's how we leave all of the lids as we finish the process of replacing the radio on each one of them. So that started as a kickoff meeting in March, and it started at the end of March due to getting the swap file at the end of March from SunGard. And then the replacements actually started in May because we had to wait for some of the pole and the indirect agreement. So 2 other things delayed that until May. So to date, we have over almost 9,000 of the radios already replaced on these meter boxes. So I think that's fantastic. You're already starting to see some of the value of that. And the expected completion is in November. Some of the challenges with that is that we are facing a lot of shrubbery and overgrowth in a lot of the easements and alleyways where it's upwards of 4 feet of growth. So we can't even find the meter. And so that's one of the things that we're having to work through, and staff has been trying to help us get some of that cut down and get access to it. So the next slide shows the picture of that. So you can see a lot of the meter boxes, if they're destroyed like the one that is on the left-hand side, it's replaced with a new one, and that's how it's left. So that's just a picture of before and after. And then finally, I think as soon as we get all the repeater sites approved from the city, I mean, we're still waiting for some information on addresses for the poles. So there's about, is it 25? So there's 25 pole sites that we still need addresses from the city. and then we can keep this project going from that standpoint. And we will need an extension on the project length by about 3 months or so we will be coming back for that. Any questions?
Councilmember Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. On this, city manager, on this grass cutting, do we have somebody specifically in place that as soon as they need this easement or grass cutting done, it'll be done?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Councilman, I wasn't aware of this issue before this meeting this morning, but we'll be glad to work closely with Seimens to make sure that we get these things done so that they can get their work done.
Okay, thank you, please do.
Council-
Again, Val, thank you very much for your presentation and for the job that you all are doing. Again, I can't say enough about you all, but whenever you run into any bumps, please immediately contact the
God
city
bless
manager.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Councilmember Lewis.
City manager, city manager, you may want to get with the police department and work ahead on clearing these problems. They have a staff that's volunteered from the local inmates. They can work ahead of the schedule on that, and that way won't be any delays by the time they get there.
That would be great, because we have a look-ahead schedule that's, that you all are very aware of, that meet on a regular basis on. Same thing with the fire hydrant replacements. If we can get the lines, identified and shut down in advance of the schedule, that would be a huge help.
Okay, I have no other lights on, Duval.
Thank you.
We will go to employee recognition. We have none. Correspondence, we have none. Public hearings, we have none.